Europe is on an edge. NATO generals are speaking of preemptive strikes on Russia. Leaked intelligence claims Germany, France, and the UK are preparing for war. And now, Vladimir Putin has issued one of his most direct, chilling warnings yet. If you want, Russia is ready. Today we break down the current geopolitical development that's shaking the world. Hello and welcome back to TFI Global. On December 2, 2025, at the VTB Russia Calling Investment Forum in Moscow, Russian President Vladimir Putin stepped onto the stage and delivered a message that echoed across every European capital. He said, "If Europe suddenly wants to wage a war with us and starts it, we are ready immediately. It would end so swiftly that there would be no one left to negotiate within Europe." This was not a vague statement, not a threat hidden between diplomatic lines. It was direct, forceful, and unmistakable. Putin insisted that Russia does not seek a war with Europe, but emphasized that Moscow is fully prepared for one. The context is critical. NATO militaries, already stretched thin by Ukraine, are openly talking about preemptive doctrines, and multiple European leaders are warning their populations to brace for a possible war within the decade. Putin's words didn't come out of nowhere. They came amid an avalanche of leaked reports and official statements pointing to serious war preparations inside Europe. Just days before his speech, the Wall Street Journal released details of a classified 1,200-page German operational plan, or Plan D. This plan outlines how Germany and NATO forces would deploy up to 800,000 troops across Europe if conflict with Russia erupts. German intelligence now warns Russia could be ready for a NATO clash by 2029, maybe even earlier. And Germany isn't alone. France's top generals have told citizens to prepare psychologically for losing soldiers in a future war. The UK has ordered mobile morgues and run mass casualty drills. FSB-linked leaks claim Germany, France, and Britain are upgrading infrastructure to move troops and armor at wartime pace. To Putin, these signals look like Europe preparing for conflict, not peace. And he accused European governments of deliberately sabotaging US-Russia peace talks on Ukraine, saying they are on the side of war. Meanwhile, NATO itself is undergoing a strategic shift. On December 1st, NATO Military Committee Chairman Admiral Giuseppe Cavo-Dragon told the Financial Times that the alliance is considering preemptive strikes against Russia's hybrid operations, such as undersea cable sabotage, drone incursions, and cyber attacks. He said NATO must consider becoming more aggressive or proactive instead of simply reacting. For Moscow, this sounded like NATO flirting with the idea of striking first. Russian officials lashed out immediately. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova called the remarks extremely irresponsible. Others accuse NATO of preparing its population for a major war with Russia. With more than 110 sabotage incidents documented across Europe since 2022, mistrust on both sides is at an all-time high. During his address, Putin also issued a darker warning, not to Europe this time but to Ukraine. He suggested that if Kyiv continues launching drone strikes on Russian oil tankers and port infrastructure, Moscow might take the most radical step. This would be devastating for Ukraine's economy, its military, logistics, and its global trade. Recent Ukrainian drone attacks have already disrupted operations at Novorossiysk, one of Russia's key Black Sea ports. Russia's shadow fleet used to bypass sanctions has become a frequent target. Putin's message was clear: escalate at sea and Russia will escalate on the map. Complicating all of this is the shifting US position. President Trump's administration has openly pressed Europe to take more of the burden for Ukraine and regional security. Secretary of State Marco Rubio recently skipped a major NATO meeting, an absence viewed as a diplomatic earthquake. A bill circulating in Washington even suggests withdrawing the US from NATO entirely. At the same time, Trump has sent envoys like Steve Witkoff to Moscow to negotiate a peace framework for Ukraine without European input. Putin claims Europe is intentionally blocking American peace efforts. Europe claims Russia wants to divide the alliance. But the reality is simple, that NATO no longer appears unified. In this already volatile mix, Elon Musk added another spark. On December 1st, he posted, "War is inevitable. 5 years, 10 at the most." He referenced the dangerous global dependency on nuclear deterrence, warning that complacency, combined with rising geopolitical tensions, is setting the stage for a catastrophe. Musk's prediction mirrors assessments from Denmark's intelligence service, which forecasts that Russia is ready for a large-scale war by 2030, and Germany's BND intelligence agency gives a similar timeline. Russia, meanwhile, possesses more than 5,400 nuclear warheads, the largest stockpile in the world. Despite all the war talk, Europe faces one overwhelming problem: that it is not ready for a long war. Analysts estimate that the European Union would need 250 billion euros per year in additional defense spending to counter Russia without a US help. Most European armies today are small, many with fewer than 15,000 active troops. They're low on artillery shells, air defense missiles, tanks, and manpower. Meanwhile, Russia has shifted its entire economy into wartime production and continues expanding its nuclear and conventional capabilities. This imbalance fuels fears that Europe's aggressive rhetoric does not match its actual military capacity. As 2025 draws to a close, Europe stands at its most dangerous crossroads since the Cold War. NATO is shifting doctrines, Russia is issuing its starkest warnings in decades. The US is recalibrating its role, and powerful voices predict a major war within years. Putin's latest declaration is not just another headline, it's a reminder that the margin for miscalculation has never been thinner. The question now is not whether tensions will rise, but whether global leaders can prevent them from erupting into a war that could redefine the future of Europe and the world. Thanks for watching.